Yes.
And the question
Right.
that related is
Good.
how we
Yeah.
move it together.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about ODD later this morning or early this afternoon, depending how far we get, and we'll see if we can have that ODD modeling. The question was, it'd be nice to have ODD modeling to start working on projects, to understand some of that framework, and we'll try to do that so by the time you form projects this afternoon, we have some discussion of that already. And you can see my YouTube videos for more details. Yes, question?
I was wondering if you could say a little bit about why you wanted to use on
Sure, sure. I can make some preliminary comments on that right now, and I have some slides that I could use to that effect later. So the question was, could I offer some comments on why we've selected AnyLogic for this bootcamp rather than other tools, or why we selected it in our own work. So there's a variety of tools out there for agent-based modeling, and some of them have considerable vintage compared to AnyLogic. AnyLogic is a more recent tool. I think it started, Jeff could correct me on this, but I think it started in sort of the first half of the 90s, is that right? Sort of its inception was back then?
Yes, basically around that time when it launched.
Okay, so launch is a commercial project on 2003, thanks Jeff, and there's some others, for example, Swarm has been around for a very, very long time. The Repass toolkit, the recursive, I have to go and think what it fully means. It's a modeling course of Torus, something or other. Toolkit for agent-based modeling has been around, I think, for 20 years at least. And NetLogo has been around also in its various incarnations, starting as Star Logo since about 1990 or so as well. There's some other frameworks like SDML, etc., that are also older. So trade-offs here. I actually have some slides on specific trade-offs with AnyLogic. I think its greatest strengths, just speaking off the top of my head, some of its greatest strengths are a fairly declarative description of a lot of pieces of the model. By declarative here, I mean it lets you focus on the what your model is composed of, by describing state charts graphically, for example, putting down events in a fashion that allows you to sort of say, how often this event should fire, what rate, under what conditions, and takes care of a lot of the detailed how that often is incumbent on you to provide for another framework. So in other words, it takes care of a lot of the details that, for example, you have to do custom coding for in Repass. I've done a lot of Repass coding in my time, and it's a great framework. I really love it. I think it's fantastic. It's open source character, and think highly of it. AnyLogic does have a considerable strength because it just has a higher cut of mechanisms that allow you to focus on the domain issues, what you're trying to characterize, and to lessen distraction from the details of the how. For a lot of people from health sciences background, that's a particularly key advantage because it allows them to work without becoming a software engineer. Okay? A lot of Repass projects that I'm involved with right now have turned into really large-scale software engineering, at least medium scale. 75 Java files that you have to manage, and writing custom code to flip up this this chart or to create this table or what have you. And as a modeler, so I'm a software engineer by training. I have commercial and lots of commercial and academic experience doing software engineering. I'm totally comfortable working as a software engineer down to the very bottom levels of the technology stack. But as a modeler, I want to focus often in characterizing the systems at an abstract level that avoids distracting me with the software engineering. And I found that a lot of the frameworks the software engineer gets in the way of insights, okay? So that is the foremost motivation for AnyLogic, for our group in particular. Some other key ones are the ability to articulate hybrid models. So we do a lot of work with system dynamics modeling, stock and flow versions of system dynamics modeling. We do quite a bit with discrete event modeling. Modeling in a process-centric way, say how people flow through a hospital or how people flow in a clinic. People might flow through an approval process for compensation or what have you. And knitting together these forms of modeling is extremely useful for delivering on many projects which kind of cross the line between one domain and another. So they require some measure of continuous description, say, using stocks and flows, and yet they also require some agent-based perspectives, or at least they benefit from it, is a better word. And AnyLogic provides these within the same model. You can have a model, and I've given you example models, which knit those together, discrete event modeling, so process-centric modeling on the one hand, and agent-based modeling on the other, that knit together system dynamics and agent-based modeling in a number of different ways. This is really powerful as well. It's cross-platform. I think the object library provided with AnyLogic is very rich and powerful. It is well thought through, and I think highly of it. I think its underlying guts, its engine, is also extremely powerful. It impresses me very much at a technical level. I also believe that being in Java rather than something like Objective-C, it provides access to a much wider set of libraries than some other projects. I mean, if you're a NetLogo, you'll find some external support options, but they're much more limited. What are the downsides? Price, the fact that it's proprietary, and sometimes it evolves in ways that are not fully expected, and you sometimes have to tweak things up. I think that it has less options for extensibility through plugins than I would like. I'd like to see a third-party market of sort of things to plug in. Like, it's based on Eclipse. I'd like to see Eclipse-like plugin market. But those are some comments on drawbacks with it. Repass, for example, is open source. Fantastic. You can go to the original source, fix bugs. So you don't have that encumbrance of price, and you have transparency there. And I think highly of that. So those are some preliminary comments. I'd be glad to discuss more one-on-one or if there's further questions. Okay. Okay, so that sort of preliminary words of introduction behind us, I think what we're going